So I just received this parcel, and this is actually a gemstone that's already cut, and it's a piece of Diaspore. Now, this is a pretty fun little gemstone because this gem actually has a color shifting characteristic where depending on the lighting it can shift from a yellow tone to a pinkish tone. Now, the person that sent me this stone actually purchased this Diaspore, and their complaint was the quality of the cut was not very good. Now, I just received it and I'm investigating it myself. Now, what I've noticed right off the hop is there's something called windowing, which is basically the angles on the pavilion, which is the bottom half of the stone, weren't cut to the proper angle for this specific type of gemstone, and it's causing the light to window, meaning the light goes straight through the gem, where we want the light to catch in the pavilion and bounce back through the crown to create a higher brilliance, which is the brightness that's coming off the stone. The other issue I've noticed is the girdle, which is the perimeter of the stone, or the widest point, seems to be pretty thick. And that causes issues for the gem setter because there has to be a point in which the girdle can clip into the prong setting, and it's going to be pretty challenging with this thick of a girdle. This is a little stick of dental wax, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a microscopic, well not microscopic, but a very small piece of wax so that I have essentially an adhesive that this gem is going to stick to. And the reason I'm doing such a tiny amount is I need this to be as flat as possible so that this table is sitting exactly flush with the brass, and I can make an adequate connection on the pavilion completely aligned. Now, another fun thing, if you actually get a piece of brass that's the width of the gem, you can stare at it straight on and see if the metal peeks out. And it does not. And you can see how the girdle is level with the brass. Now, one of the trickiest parts to recutting a stone is the dopping process. And every carat, even half or quarter carat, counts. I'm really happy with how I've seated this stone on this dop stick. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be setting it into the transfer jig. And I'm actually going to stand the jig up vertically, and I'm going to set this stone in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice V-grooved dop stick, and this one's looking pretty good. There's a microscopic amount of wax in the groove. Now, before I actually use an adhesive, I'm going to visibly see where this is sitting. As you can see, that is very aligned. Right in the center of the stone. And it's going to be right into the point of the pavilion perfectly. So we got that in the transfer jig, and it says to let the glue sit for 12 hours to 24 hours, so we always go with 24 hours because with gem cutting and jewelry, you never want to rush the process. My micro lens actually just, I feel like a teenager that's got long bangs back in high school. The lens just popped out of my micro lens, so I'm going to have to super glue that back into place, which is kind of annoying anyhow. You can see the new girdle facets here. Alright, so here's the crown. We're going to start with these two facets here. So things are looking pretty good. Got the first row of facets done on the crown here. basically I'm going to get the next crown facets cut. I've leveled the girdle and things are looking pretty good. Now I've maximized the actual size of this stone and I'm pretty happy with the overall shape we got. And we're going to see how this finishes up. But for now, I'm just going to carry on here. So far, this is my first ever cutting of a Diaspore. I've cut a lot of different gemstones, and this kind of polish is similar to quartz. So that's amethyst, citrine, oro verde. There's a bit of a family there. And I'd say it's pretty easy polishing. It's definitely not like corundum, which is sapphire or ruby. Alright, so now I got the table adapter on. And I'm going to be cutting the largest facet. Alright, so I just finished up the crown here. It's looking good, got the polish done. Did the dop transfer last night. And I'm just going to take it into this transfer jig right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the one side to destroy the bond of glue. I'm just going to see how it feels. It's nice and sturdy. And I'm going to heat this dop stick here. Make sure the camera can see. So I'm actually heating the brass, and it's going to transfer the heat down through the brass, and it's going to weaken the bond of glue. So we got this transferred over, and I'm able to cut the pavilion now. I'm just going to throw this in the machine and get started on that. And that glue works really well. I sometimes use wax, and the key difference is wax is an instant bond where the glue takes 24 hours, but the wax has the chance of dropping the gem where the glue is pretty secure. And I usually got to use acetone or a significant amount of heat to actually break the bond. So that shiny part's the glue, and the dull part is the actual gemstone. Things are going well, just moving along here. 41.57. So basically, I'm doing the cutting in of the facets on a 1200 grit. And the pavilion is about halfway completed at this stage. So this facet that's glowing in the center there, it's got the light hitting it right now, it's appearing white. Now the depth I'm trying to cut it to, I need to cut it so that it tapers down, creates a point. Right now it doesn't look like that, so that's how I know that the facet isn't deep enough. And that's what I'm doing with this software. It's allowing me to see the design that I'm trying to emulate, and I'm trying to make a meet point right here which creates an even girdle, which are these facets here. So this facet is what I'm cutting right now. Alright, so the girdle was leveled and that cut went perfectly.